Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to What's the 411 News. And what we got today, a lot of y'all been probably heard of it. There's been a lot of talk about it. And I don't know, man. We're gonna see what's really going on. All right, we're gonna see what's really going on. So it's looking like Florida is setting to teach that slavery benefited foundational Black Americans. All right, you're gonna see a whole bunch of different titles, or you probably heard of different titles. And so, yeah, let's take a look at a few of them real quick. You got New Florida curriculum, says slavery had personal benefits. Then you got Florida will teach its students that slavery benefited Black people. And then you got Florida schools will teach how slavery brought personal benefits to Black people. All right, and on and on and on and on and on. So let's get into it, man, and find out what's really going on here. All right. Let's see what they're talking about. All right, let's take a look. All right, as I stated, they saying that Florida's having a new curriculum, and that this curriculum is going to teach that slavery had personal benefits to Black people. Black people personally benefited. But right off the bat, before we even get started with what they're saying, if Black people benefited from slavery way back then, shouldn't the descendants be doing pretty well right now? Do you think? Should they be doing pretty well at this moment in time? Should we be equal in some sense in regards to economics? Probably mainly in economics. You know, what was this benefit that they're claiming? All right, we're going to take a look at it. So it says, New Florida Black History curriculum says slavery had personal benefits. A new curriculum for African American history approved by the Florida Board of Education includes a lesson that teaches slavery had, quote, personal benefits. All right. The board unanimously approved the education program at Wednesday meeting in Orlando after a tense, more than hour-long period of public comment, the Tallahassee Democrat reported. The lessons angered teachers and activists who argued they omitted key facts about the oppression of Black Americans and the realities of slavery. All right, you already see the game, you see the play already going on right there. All right, while the goals for public middle school teachings include the, quote, history and evolution of slave codes, a proposed lesson also asks instructors to show students how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. All right, we're going to stop right there. Whether you realize it or not, some of these slaves that they're saying developed skills when they were slaves, if you go back and do some studying, a lot of those slave masters didn't know what they were doing, didn't know how to till the land and deal with the land and develop it. And you'll find that there was a lot of slaves who already had these skills when they were brought over here. And then there were slaves there were people already here, Black people already here before slavery that already had skills. And then they were later taken. Some of them that were already here weren't slaves before slavery, Black people. They took them and then transported them to other places and made them slaves. But they already had skills before then. All right. So you already see the game and the discrepancies going on with this, right? So they're trying to say that they develop skills. How do you develop something you already had? Again, all right, which they say instances could be applied for their personal benefit. How could it be applied for their personal benefit when they weren't allowed to be free on their own so they can develop the land and deal with the land and personally benefit from the skills they already had? How can that be? You already see the lies and you see the holes in their logic already, right? So let's continue. It says, I am very concerned by these standards, especially the notion that enslaved people benefited from being enslaved. It's inaccurate and a scary standard for us to establish in our educational curriculum, warned State Representative Anna Eskamani, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Eskanani, Democrat Orlando. And Genesis Robinson, political director of the advocacy group Equal Ground, argued the new curriculum only skims the surface of systemic racism. All right. So when you couple these standards with the environment, the hostility towards daring to talk about certain subjects, it creates an environment where there's going to be a complete removal of these conversations in the classroom, Robinson argued. Critics also complain the curriculum framed violence against Black communities as mutual two-sided fights rather than racial attacks. All right. Noting a high school lesson on the 1920 Ocoee massacre calls for teachers to discuss violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. Now let's stop right there. We already know what that's about. What they're trying to say is that, oh, these Black slaves, they were being violent and they incited violence and they were the ones who started being violent, when in fact these slaves was trying to get out from being enslaved. So you had a lot of Black Americans that were about it back in the slavery times, right? And they were down to fight for their freedoms. And so they're going to twist that now and say, oh, that was Black Americans inciting fighting. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to rephrase everything. So the kids that's coming up, they're going to program their minds to think something way different outside of what the facts were. All right. You already know it's Kiki and what I. All right, I see you. That's my cuz. What's going on, cuz? What's going on? All right, so that's what's really going on. They're trying to change everything. So for the next 100, 200, 300 years, if there will ever be that many years to go, that they're going to program the kids to think something way different from what the facts are. And it looks like some of the teachers and activists have an issue with that, right? So what it says here says it suggests that the Ocoee massacre was sparked by violence from African Americans. That's blaming the victim, said State Senator Geraldine Thompson. All right. Opponents also condemned outdated language, the term slaves rather than enslaved people, the omission of Florida's role in the evolution of civil rights, and the state's secession from the federal union in the Civil War. All right. So again, they're trying to take everything out from what we all know. In some schools, some of y'all didn't even learn this. Some folks, even in my age group and a little bit younger, some of you didn't get any of the a lot of the Black history, and some have. And they're trying to leave out a lot of stuff on purpose and then rephrase things, change wording, change the way, do a revision history of what the real facts are. All right. This is what we're saying when we say that the standards are so porous because they're incomplete, Robinson said. According to the Tallahassee Democrat board member, Ben Gibson got a scathing letter from 11 organizations, including the NAACP and the Florida Education Association, accusing the state of manipulating key historical facts about the Black experience. We owe the next generation of scholars the opportunity to know the full, unvarnished history of this state and country and all who contributed to it, good and bad, the letter stated. Curriculum supporters countered that the new curriculum met all requirements laid out by state law in 1994. Everything is there, said board member Mary Lynn Mager or Mager. It should be MAGA, take the R out. MAGA. All right. The darkest parts of our history are addressed, and I'm very proud of the task force, MAGA said. I'm going to call her MAGA. All right. That's her name today. I can confidently say that the DOE and the task force believe that African American history is American history, and that's represented in those standards. How can that be represented if you're leaving stuff out? And then they're saying that it met requirements of the state law in 94. It looks like they got to look back at their requirements. But I know, and I know they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're trying to play stupid and play dumb. That's what it is. That's all it is. All right. Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. also pushed back at the critics. As age appropriate, we go into some of the tougher subjects all the way into the beginnings of the slave trade, Jim Crow laws, the civil rights movement, and everything that occurred throughout our history, he said. All right, and you got a picture here. 8 children stand near an adult man and woman in the cotton field with large baskets of cotton before them near Savannah, Georgia. Part of the stereograph, or I don't know if it says stereograph, by Pierre Haven, circa 1880. All right, the Florida curriculum controversy is the latest in the wake of Governor DeSantis' Stop Woke Act in 2022, which regulates the content of instruction and training in schools and workplaces. Earlier this year, the Florida Department of Education also tossed the College Board's AP African American Studies class, asserting that topics like Black Lives Matter and reparations violated state law. All right. So again, this looks like it's a play within a play within a play. All right. What it also looking like with the wording of that is they're trying to also attack keeping Black Americans from getting reparations. But yet, as we all stated in the new Black media, myself and many others that stated, you have all these other groups, even to this day, that are still getting money, their reparations today. But if for some reason, when it comes to Black Americans, there's a big fight and issues about Black Americans getting something. They don't want Black Americans getting nothing. Money, especially. They want to give them all types of symbolic things, like what is Biden doing now? He's talking about, or there was talks about putting up a monument for Emmett Till. That's like how many years too late? And this is what Biden is either proposing or talking about doing. But that's another story. We'll get into that one at another time. But yeah, there was talks about putting up some type of Emmett Till memorial. Yeah, okay. Public Schools Chancellor Paul Burns pointed out it's the first year Florida created separate standards for African American history. Oh, well, wow, big deal. The 13 members of the group that drew up the standards were selected by an 11-person task force, 6 of whom were appointed by Diaz. Imagine that. You should all see this blatantly being done. Everything is being done in your face now So if you keep on turning your head and turning your back and act like things ain't happening, we're going to start looking at you a little funny, a little side-eyed. All right. What do you think? All right. Everybody post their comments. Let me know what you guys think. At the start of the public commentary, Task Force Chair Glenton, looked like Gitson or Gitshon Jr., reiterated DeSantis' stance, declaring Black history is American history. And we've heard that repeated line or repeated time and time again this morning. Let's be clear, Florida already requires the teaching of African American history, but the new standards align these requirements and will hold teachers accountable to ensure that complete and accurate African American history continues to be taught. Giljon, I guess that's how you pronounce it, stated. Yeah, okay. Okay, so again, you guys see the play, you see what's going on, you see how they're getting down. Again, it's looking like a play within a play within a play. All right, they're using one thing, they're claiming something. Oh yeah, it's African American history is American history, right? What's going on? All right, we'll do. All right, we'll do. So yeah, that's what's going on in Florida. Now it's kind of interesting because I remember, and I talked about this before. I remember some years ago, there was talk about that Texas was going to do something like that. And I don't know if they already done it. I remember more recent years it was being talked about again that Texas was going to be doing the same thing, or they have already done it or started doing it already with the same nonsense with changing Black American history. All right, so Florida is definitely looking like they are heading that way. And hopefully you guys in Florida will continue to push back on that. And we'll continue to keep on reporting it and exposing the nonsense that's going on. All right. So real quick, I'm going to hit you with some of these others real quick here. They're probably saying similar to the same thing. All right. Let's see here. The Florida State Board of Education enacted new regulations on Wednesday that its detractors claim watered down the importance of Black history as Florida continues to grapple with how educators approach Black history in their classrooms. New guidelines will teach its students that slavery benefited Black people. Again, you're going to have to explain how slavery benefited Black people, because if that's the case, it should be a lot of Black people today and a whole lot of not a whole lot of, but at a pretty better shape than how things were way back then. All right, it should be in a lot better shape than what Black Americans are right now. Shout out to everybody on YouTube and on Facebook listening in. Appreciate y'all. So yeah, y'all let me know what you think, man. Let me know what you think. The running game and like I always said, the target was the kids, or the target is the kids. And some adults might not even realize that either. Don't know what's going on. So, some adults, Black adults, might even go for the nonsense as well. Again, like I said, we'll be looking at you real side-eyed if you go for that. So y'all guys, let me know what you think, man. Support New Black Media. Subscribe to the channel. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and we'll also be not live, but our videos will be posted on Spotify for those who have Spotify accounts. All right. And yeah, the attack continues on Black Americans. All right. I appreciate y'all, man. We'll be back in a few with some more news here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. All right. The Florida school system is looking to teaching kids that the enslaved Black Americans personally benefited from slavery. Y'all let me know what y'all think. All right? Indeed, indeed. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back here in a little bit. This is What's the 411 News. And like I always say, no matter where you are around the world, you can always bet on the new Black media. All right, I'm out. Peace. Welcome back to What's the 411 News, where we bring you news observation, interpretation, and news commentary from an FBA and BGR perspective. Let's get it.